Human beings have essentially two types of dreams. The first dream is of material aspirations, possessions, success. The second type is of spiritual aspirations, personal growth, essence of being. So we find in the Torah, in the Sedras regarding dreams. At first, in Bethel, Yaakov had a glorious, heavenly dream about a ladder that stood on the ground and reached to the sky, with angels climbing up and down upon it. Then by Lavan, he dreamed again, but about sheep, spotted, striped, and speckled. Similarly, Yosef had two kinds of dreams. He sees a field with bundles of wheat, and the bundles of his brothers bow down to his bundle. However, he also had a glorious, heavenly dream about the sun, the moon, and the stars. Since Yaakov had experienced these two kinds of dreams, he recognized the importance of Yosef's two dreams. And as it states, Ve'aviv shamar es hadavar, his father kept the matter in mind, meaning he looked forward to their fulfillment. However, in this week's Sedra Mikeitz, we read about the two dreams of Paro, who does not dream about heaven, but rather only about cows and stalks, symbolizing a lack of spiritual depth. In fact, Yosef says to Paro, the dream of Paro is a single one. Paro had one dream with an intervening awakening. As it states, he awoke, he fell asleep, and dreamt a second time. B'shuv Hashem eshiva Sion hayinu kechomim. When Hashem will return the captivity of Zion, we will be like dreamers. Jews, as individuals and collectively as a nation, also always have two dreams. In the story of Chanukah, the Jews experienced the realization of these two aspirations. They felt the cruelty, oppression, and enslavement of the Greeks and dreamed that they would reclaim their independence and have physical freedom. They also suffered a spiritual angst, witnessing the destruction and weakening of all their holy institutions. They yearned for the return of the avodah to the Beis HaMikdash, once again in holiness and purity, to be a divine radiance in their Jewish life. Through a miracle, Jews won their freedom in a heroic, self-sacrificing war against the enemies. However, the Jews understood that the military and political victory was the realization of only one dream. V'achrachein bo vanecha lidvir beisecha. And after this, your children came to the Holy of Holies of your house. There was a miracle that the Jews were not blinded by the physical victory and did not forget the other dream. They undertook to purify the Beis HaMikdash and to light the menorah. Then another miracle occurred. The Greeks had defiled the pure oil. Only one small jar survived, enough to light the menorah for one day, and it sufficed for the entire 8 days until new oil could be produced. In recognition of the fulfillment of both the physical and spiritual aspirations, Chazal, the sages, directed the celebration of Chanukah through Hallel and also Hadah, praise and thanksgiving. The question of the Pnei Yoshua is well known. Why was a miracle needed with respect to the oil? Chazal in the Gemara Yoma 6b state the principle of Tuma Hutra Barabim. Impurity is permitted in cases involving the public, that a collective holy obligation can be performed even in an impure state. If so, they could have lit the menorah with impure oil, of which they had enough. So why did they seek pure oil? Why did a miracle need to happen? Hashem doesn't perform miracles for no reason. The Mara Yecheskel Zichrono Levracha explains that the principle of Tuma Hutra Barabim is based on that which we read in the Torah in the Sedra Acharei, Hashochen itam besoch tumasam, that Hashem resides among them even in their state of defilement. Therefore, the rule is only applicable when there is already a hashras hashchina, that Hashem is resting among us. However, in the story of Chanukah, we first had to bring about the hashras hashchina. The Beis HaMikdash until this time did not function. One cannot initiate and inaugurate with defilement, only with purity, with the seal of the Kohen Gadol. Nevertheless, the question is asked, if so, that you cannot initiate with defilement, they should have lit the menorah the first day with the found pure oil, and with that brought about the hashras hashchina. Then, the rest of the days, they could have used the defiled oil because of the principle of Tuma Hutra Barabim. It is possible that the answer is that the inauguration of the Beis HaMikdash that will result in hashras hashchina must last 8 days, as Shlomo HaMelech ordered a celebration of 8 days, even if it hinders observing Yom Kippur. So too it was by the Mishkan. It wasn't until the 8th day of the inauguration that the presence of Hashem appeared. This is possibly why the last day of Chanukah, the 8th day, is distinguished from all other days. We can also explain why they didn't use the principle of Tuma Hutra B'tzibur in a different manner, drawing a parallel from Asedra Mikeitz. When Yosef insisted that the brothers must bring Binyamin down to Egypt, Yaakov did not want to entrust them with guaranteeing his well-being. Reuven offered that if something should happen to Binyamin, he should lose his 2 children. Yaakov rejected his proposal and called him a foolish firstborn. However, Yaakov did accept Yehuda's offer. Anochi ereveno, I will personally guarantee it. Yehuda entered into an agreement, a bond, a covenant with Yaakov. Reuven offered to make good only in the event of failure. Yehuda, with his bond, guaranteed success. Similarly, Hashem made a covenant with the Jews, one with guarantees. When obligated by a covenant, one cannot get away with doing the bare minimum. Rather, one must wholeheartedly do one's best at the highest and most beautiful level. Shabbos bounds us with an eternal covenant. Jews observe the Shabbos with all its stringencies, with all the best, with one's entire being, even within the Shami Yisera. So too, the Kohanim are bound to their tasks with a priestly eternal covenant. Therefore, the Kohanim could not have been satisfied with lighting the menorah with defiled oil. They couldn't be content with the loophole of Tuma Hutra B'tzibur. When one starts to perform an obligation in its finest form, then Hashem helps, and even a miracle occurs. Of course, the Kohanim knew they could have minimally fulfilled the mitzvah with impure oil, but then, Hidur mitzvah, the beautifying and glorification of the mitzvah, would be lacking. The Kohanim, the Chashmonayim, wanted to crown their wondrous victory through lighting the menorah with the most beautiful Hidur mitzvah, and Hashem graced them with another miracle. Therefore, we celebrate the miracle of Chanukah by lighting the candles in a mahadrin min mahadrin manner, with extraordinary splendor. The Sfas Emes, may his merit protect us, states that although in a bracha we do not use general terms, but rather one must express himself specifically, nevertheless, every night of Chanukah, we say the blessing of Sha'asa Nisim, that he, Hashem, performed miracles. Why don't we mention the specific miracle regarding the oil? Why don't we say Sha'asa Nes, that he performed a miracle? Why do we say that he performed miracles in plural? He cites the Moral's introduction to Gvuras Hashem, that with the celebration of the miracle of Chanukah, the source of the ongoing miracles that we experience every day is opened. We must be inspired to live daily with glory and splendor. We should strive to do mitzvos not simply to minimally fulfill the obligation, rather to fulfill every obligation, mahadrin min ha-mahadrin, and then Hashem will assist us. Every day, we need to reenact the miracle of Chanukah, dedicating even just a small amount of holiness and purity to the performance of mitzvos in the most beautiful manner, and in so doing, we will illuminate Jewish life and its glorious future. Shabbat Shalom and Chanukah Sameach.